Hello and welcome to another free resource offered to you by the Regional Centers for Workforce Transformation. Today we are privileged to participate in a presentation offered by one of New York State's great workforce champions, Connie Twersky, sometimes known as Chumi. And we so appreciate her time today to provide this much needed information for you. And so with that, Connie.
Hi there. Thank you, Kirsten. I have to say that this effort by OPWDD to reach out to as many people as possible and try to give you information to make this transition one that everybody can be a part of and everybody can understand is really valuable. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along. So I'm going to talk to you for a little bit, and then we will have an opportunity for you guys to ask some questions at the end. And I think that you can type those in. Fortunately, I don't see them, and Kirsten does get to see those. So she will read those at the end to us. So let's talk about care coordination organizations. I'm sure many of you have heard CCOs. You may or may not have heard the HH part of it, but this new effort, this new transition, this new process is called CCO-HH. And health homes, we're going to talk about what that means, but you will see that, and we just want you to be familiar with what that is. And we're going to talk about what a CCO is and what you can expect as a DSP and how things are going to change a little bit. First and foremost, I love memes. So you might see a lot of these throughout, and sometimes they really express how many of us feel better than we can express it ourselves, and this is a really good one. You know, we've got change, and New York State is constantly at the forefront of change. We're looking for what's happening, what do we want to improve, and how are we going to change it? And as we all know, most of us really don't like change. A lot of us think that, hey, what we've got is working, please don't mess with it. Don't change anything on me. It's not broken, don't fix it. And while some of that might be true, and we are all working really hard and doing a great job, there's always room to fix something. There's always room to improve things and change things and make them better. So I know that we're not happy with this, but let's see what we're going to do with it. So this change that is happening, that is taking place, is going to directly change the roles of the MSC or the service coordinator. You may know them as one or the other. And they are going to be the most impacted by this change. Well, them and the people supported, and we'll talk about how. So currently, the role of an MSC is supporting a person in getting different services, in helping them attend different programs, different jobs, different, community opportunities, and scheduling and helping that person create what we call or what we know as the ISP or the Individualized Service Plan. Now, many MSCs have expanded that role, and they may do a little bit more than what's on here. They may do a lot more than what's on here. But that is pretty much the general role of a service coordinator. When I describe change to you, I'm going to use Kurt Lewin's change model. And we're going to talk about this. This is not an OPW movement. This is just what I thought was really helpful to me to talk about what change is and how we can respond to change. So there are three different parts to change. The first is unfreeze, the second is change, and the third is freeze. In order for us to change, and as we talked about earlier, most of us really don't like changing. And as we know, sometimes in life we're changing jobs, we may have to move, We may have to, do something as large as, there's a huge change in our life, and whether that involves schooling or the city we live in, we're all going through changes, little changes and, more major changes. So I don't know about everybody anywhere else, but I'm located in the city. And yesterday we had fantastically awesome weather. If you've been out today, it is far less than fantastically awesome. That's a change. I was pretty cheerful yesterday. Today, not so much. You didn't really want to spend your day around me. And that's a change. The weather is a change that some of us struggle with. And, that's a more minor change, and we have absolutely no control over it, although I'm convinced that OPWDD can do something about it. So we're in negotiations currently about that. So let's talk about what happens when we do need to make a change. The first thing we need to do is understand why. Why do I have to change? What's wrong with what's happening now? If somebody forces me to make a change, if somebody says to me, you know what, Connie, tomorrow morning you need to move and we are moving you to Queens. That is not happening. I don't know about those of you, and no offense to anybody that lives in Queens, but they've got streets and roads and avenues, and it is incredibly confusing. And I know that I will spend my day circling it and trying to find out where I live. If somebody says to me, hey, you got to do that, and nobody gives me a reason, I'm going to fight you on it. I'm going to say absolutely not. I'm saying right here, there is no reason for that to happen. On the other hand, if somebody makes a good argument for it, and somebody can explain to me why that's to be a benefit for me, then I might be motivated to do it. So if somebody says to me, you're never going to have to find your way around, we're going to have somebody that's going to take you everywhere you need to go. You're going to move into this fantastic, wonderful place there. You're going to have tons of friends there. Your family members are going to live close by. Your job is going to be a 2-block walking distance. And you know what? The weather in Queens is sunny and happy all the time. Well, you know what? You got me there. Now I might be more inclined to go. So we need to understand why we're making a change. That's the first piece. Then we need to understand, are we even listening? When somebody says to us, hey, we've got a change happening, do we immediately shut down and say, I'm not listening to you. I don't want to hear what you have to say. So I kind of picture myself as, one of those two people who are pushing a wagon. And you know what? We are making that wagon move, and we're getting places. We are definitely moving forward. But you know what? Not in the best way possible. And I've got somebody standing behind me, and in today's case, it's OPWDD, and maybe some other people standing behind me saying, hey, Connie, I've got some wheels for that wagon you're on, and that's going to make it move more smoothly, and it's going to make it move faster. And it's going to be a lot easier for you. And I say, no, you know what? I'm good. What I've got here, my wagon is doing just fine. I don't really need your help. Not always the smartest thing. So change is a process, and there is no question that change is scary. We all worry about it. What's going to happen in the future? I know what my world is like now. How is that going to be different for me? And it takes time because it's a process. And everyone handles change differently. And we have to appreciate that about people in every aspect, not in just this one. So we might all process this differently. We might all figure out how to work with it differently. And as long as we have a clear picture, and hopefully at the end of this, you'll have a little bit of a clearer picture of the goal and why this is happening and why we're doing this, then we can start to work on how am I going to move with this? How am I going to change with this? And again, it's a process. It's a transition. And of course, none of us, are saying, yay, let's change. On the other hand, are we going to be those people pushing the wagons that refuse a set of wheels? And that's something that we need to think about. So we've gone through the unfreezing and we've gone through the changing, and now we're up to the refreezing. So we have made that change, and we're learning a little bit about that change, and we've gone with it, and we have to make sure that we're constantly moving with that change. And otherwise, we're going to end up back to where we started. So if we accept it and we move with it and we understand that this is a journey, we are working with people. And you know what? In life, and this is true of all of us, people are messy. We're not a piece of paper that we can read, sign, and put away. We've got all sorts of different pieces that come with us. And so our jobs are what we call dynamic. They're constantly changing. We're constantly improving. We're constantly looking to say, hey, what can I do that's different and that's better? So finally, what is this CCO HH that kind of keeps talking about, and why doesn't she tell us what the heck it is? So here is a short description of what a CCO HH is. As we said, it's a care coordination organization health home. Now, if you can say that a couple times really fast in a row, you get a reward for that. I'm kidding, you really don't. But we call it CCO for short because it's easier to say and pronounce. And CCOs are going to unite people with disabilities, their support, with some health and wellness services and provide people with a life plan. So what we're going to do is kind of tweak the services that people are currently getting. We're going to improve those services, and we are going to be providing people with something called a life plan. And I'll tell you a little bit about what a life plan is. The CCOs are supervised by OPWDD. They will also be supervised by DOH, which is the Department of Health. So they're involved with OPWDD. They partnered with OPWDD in making this happen. And the CCO is going to be providing person-centered care management, planning, and coordination of services for the people we support. So again, very similar to what we were doing before, more person-centered, and we're going to talk about the services that we're adding on to make this change a really good one. We're going to be established what's called a life plan. Now, this life plan is it is going to replace the ISP, and it's going to include health, behavioral services, mental health services, really important, preventative care. How can we look at things ahead of time before it becomes a problem? And how can we help people stay healthier, stay happier, and lead lives of meaning? So it's going to have community support, social supports, and other services in this life plan. Why are we doing this now? So as we said, we're always looking to constantly improve and better things. And one of the things that New York State is doing is changing the MSC service to conflict-free. So what does conflict-free mean? Conflict-free means that, let's say an organization provides a service, and they don't just provide MSC, but they may also provide, let's say they have day programs, supportive employment, respite, ComHab, a number of other different services. If I work for, let's say I'm working for organization X, and they provide other services, I am going to be far more likely to recommend organization X to other people than I will be other organizations, because I'm connected with it, because I know it, maybe even because the organization that I work for wants me to recommend their other services. Now, one of the things that the CCO is going to allow for MSCs to do is learn about other services that are out there and be able to recommend other services too. And I'm not going to have to worry about or think about or even know more about what organization X has than what other organizations have. So I'm going to be able to look at a whole array of services and offer that to somebody. That's called being conflict-free. And the federal government also wanted to make sure that we're focused on outcomes. We are making sure that people are meeting goals that they set for themselves. And at the same time, we want to be efficient. So if I'm not feeling well, and every time I'm not feeling well, I say, hey, you know what? I don't really want to go to the doctor. It's too complicated. It's too time consuming. I'm just going to go to the hospital. Well, number one, that is not efficient at all. Number two, it's going to cost a lot more money for me to go to the hospital than it is to go to a doctor. I'm probably not going to get the quality of care that I need. And there's a good chance that I could have prevented all of that from happening. And that is part of what the federal government is focused on. Let's help people find the services they need. Let's help with preventative services. Let's help people stay healthy. And if someone's not feeling well, let's provide them with really good people to help them, whether it's mental health services or whether it's a physician or a neurologist, so that we don't have people that end up in the hospital just for, no reason, but because they couldn't find better services. Also, very important is that the records are going to be centralized. So right now, a lot of people are doing things with pen and paper. That's going to change, and everything is going to be centralized in this life plan. Now, this life plan is going to be on a service online, and that service is going to be accessible to anybody that the person supported chooses, anybody on their team that they choose. So they may say, hey, I want my doctor to have access to this. I want my neurologist to have access to this. You know what? I want my sister to have access to it. I'd like some of my natural support, some of my close friends who I care about to have access. Maybe I even want my DSP to have access to this, so they can see what's important to me and they can help me live my life, and they can know about all these different things going on in my life. And that is really super important. This new plan and this service that we're talking about is super centered on the person. It's about what's important to me. What are my interests? What are my values? What goals do I have in my life? And what skills do I want to learn? It is very, very focused on the person. We, as DSPs, we as MSCs are going to be very culturally competent. We're going to be focused on learning more about a person's background, about what's important. How does a person think? What do I know about their religion, about the language they speak? What do I know about the experiences they've been through and what's important to them? What do I know about what skills they have to achieve and accomplish things? So we're looking at all of these different things, and we want to take this all into account and learn about people so that we can truly help them. We're also looking at this new model that we're using is called a holistic model. It focuses on the whole person. It's not just one service, and it's not just one aspect of the person, but we want to look at the whole person, their health, their behavior, their community, all different aspects of that person. So if I'm not looking at how to keep somebody healthy and how to help somebody make choices or understand choices about being healthy, then there's a good chance that they may not be as healthy as they want to be. So whether it's good choices about eating, learning about some of the health issues that people have, whether it could be diabetes, it could be somebody struggling with having a healthy body image, exercising, and then people's emotional needs. How do I feel about myself? How do I feel about what I'm doing with my life? How can I be more positive? We all know that the more positive we feel emotionally and physically, the better our lives are. Why are we coming up with this life plan, this one big plan? And that's so we can take all aspects of a person's life and put it into one place and not have it scattered. When we're scattered, we're less effective. We all know that about ourselves. When we've got things all over the place, we're not as good at making sure that things get done. So whether it's where somebody lives or what they do or how involved they are in their community or what their health is like or what they do with their free time, all of that is going to now be in one space and in one plan. Again, why that change? So I'm not going to focus too much on this, but we are preparing for a managed care system. And a managed care system is a different way of doing business than the way we've done business before. And this CCO is the first step towards it. I want to say again and reiterate that this is not managed care, but that the CCO is a step toward helping that happen. And what managed care focuses on, as we said earlier, is better outcomes for people and being more efficient and doing things in a way that makes sense and that is better and is more cost effective. I'm not going to talk about every one of these things in detail, but the MSCs and the people that are currently working with the person supported, we want them to keep working with the person supported because they have relationships with people, with their families, and we don't want to change that. In no way do we want to disrupt things in people's lives. And that's really important to know, because now that the MSCs are no longer going to be working for Organization X and they're going to be working for CCOs, a lot of people and family are saying, hey, wait a minute, where are you going? Am I going to still be able to work with you? And the answer is absolutely yes. You are going to be able to continue working with your MSC if that's what you choose to do. Now, we're all asking, how is this going to affect me? How is this going to affect me? And in this case, the question is, how is this going to affect me as a direct support professional? We are going, as we said before, everything is going to be electronic. Everything is going to be accessible online. And yes, this new system will protect people's privacy. So it's going to be accessible, and we're going to have full integration of people's care so that all different people can be a part of this. At the same time, we're going to respect people's privacy and choices. So doctors, healthcare providers, all across the board are going to be able to have access to this if the person supported chooses to allow those people to have access. But then they will be able to get on, look at the life plan, give input, and connect. It's another person that's able to connect and centralize this life plan. People ask all the time. I hear this 12 times a day. What's going to be taken away? What are we not going to have anymore? I know this. You guys are putting something new out. We're going to lose something. And the answer is no, that is not true. We are going to be gaining things. The jobs of the MSC, the job of the MSC, and some things are going to look a little bit different, but nothing is being taken away. Nobody is losing services. And it is important that if a person supported asks you about that, or if a family member asks you about that, that you know the answer to that, because that is really super important. You are not losing a service. You, as the person supported, are not losing a service. The MSCs, as we said, they are going to start working with the CCOs. The CCOs are going to be training the MSCs because there's a lot of new things for them to learn. We're not dumping people into this new thing and saying, okay, do it. No, we're going to be working with people. We're going to be talking to them about it. We're going to be teaching them about it. And the MSCs are now going to be called care managers or care coordinators. So if you start hearing a term care manager or care coordinator and you go, hey, wait, who is that? That's the MSC. And that is going to change on July 1st. This whole project goes live on July 1st. We're spending a lot of time beforehand, and OPWD has been putting in months and months of work ahead of time to make sure that this project is successful, it's smooth, and it doesn't disrupt people's lives, including the lives of the organizations, the MSCs, the DSPs, all of us. And of course, especially the lives of the people and families that are being supported. So what is your role? Here I am talking to you and you're going, why is she telling me all this? Why do I care? Well, the reason you care is that while the care coordinator, or formerly the MSC, is going to be helping a person develop the plan, you are the key in making that plan happen. You're going to be helping a person deliver that plan. You're going to be helping make that plan come alive. So you need to be aware of all of this. You need to be aware that you may have access to this life plan. Hopefully you will. You're going to be able to look at it, and you're going to be able to help a person realize those goals and live that plan that they've created that's important to them. So you are definitely front and center in this process, and you're going to have lots of questions. And I can tell you that it takes time. This is a process, and we ask you to have patience. We don't have all the answers. You guys are going to ask me questions at the end, and what I'm going to be really good at saying is, I don't know. And I got to tell you that in the beginning, when I started doing this and learning about CCOs, I wasn't comfortable with the answer, I don't know. And my answer back was, no, but I need to know. If you want to make a change, I need to understand every piece of it, and I need to know. And what I've learned is that I'm working with a lot of good people, and there's a lot of people that are involved in this that want to make sure that people's lives are changing for the better. And so when I ask a question and somebody says, I don't know, but I'm going to work on that and I'm going to get you an answer, I'm good with that, because I know that this change is going to take time, that this change is a good one, and that we are all learning this together. And so we just ask for that same patience from you, and for you to understand that this is a process, and we will be giving you information along the way. You being anybody from a provider organization, a DSP, whoever it is, we're going to be giving you information along the way. How are you going to help a person live that plan, develop that plan, implement the plan? You're going to use the core competencies. Those 23 skills that we started working with a couple of years ago, you are going to use. And of course, you guys are using these skills every day. We want you to spend more time focusing on those, helping people with these skills, helping people choose the lives and live the lives that they want. So if you want to learn more about core competencies, you can go, if you see at the bottom of the page, it says www.workforcetransformation.org. That information is available on there. You will have this webinar, which is being recorded, will also be available on there. So if you want to listen to it again because you love listening to the sound of my voice, or you want more information, it will be available on there. And there's going to be information about the CCOs on the Workforce Transformation website and on OPWDD's website. So you can get more information about that. So what's actually going to change? So the MSCs used to provide support services and probably more services, and they're going to be at the center of this because their jobs are changing and they're helping develop these plans. They are going to get more resources and tools to work with. They're going to have nurses and social workers and medical directors and this really cool new IT system online to help work with them. So everybody is going to be using a program called Medicaid. Some of you may be familiar with it, all 6 CCOs. And by the way, there are 6 CCOs in New York State. And all of the MSCs will be working for one of those 6. There are a bunch of different regions, and every region has more than one choice of a CCO. And they are going to be working with one of those 6. And all of them are using this program, the same program that Medicaid has developed. And in that program is this life plan, which is really, really cool. And for those of you that say that, oh, we're not going to understand it and we're not going to be able to learn it, if any of you know me, I have AOL. I am miserable at computers. When I ask people questions about computers, they begin to laugh. And believe me, I'm not trying to be funny when they begin to laugh. And I looked at the system and I said, wow, this is cool and I can do this. And so if this is cool and I can do it, then I know that everybody can learn it. And some people may need more time to learn it, and we are going to help people learn it because we want everybody to be able to understand it and be able to work with it. So what we're doing is we're doing habilitation and we do rehabilitation. So what is the difference? And I've always wondered this myself. Habilitation is about helping people attain skills, learn skills, improve on their skills as they relate to a person's growth and their choice and the community they're involved in. So whether it's my emotional growth, my social growth, my being part of a community, or my learning skills, that's habilitation. Rehabilitation is helping me get healthy, stay healthy, or get healthier. So it's medical and provider care. It's my mental health. and its development as it relates to my overall health. And we're going to be, both of those are going to be involved in a person's life plan. We are going to be training the service coordinators. Some of you may be familiar with personal outcome measures, and the personal outcome measures are when we talk to a person about what makes them feel safe, what makes them feel happy, what are their goals, what are they looking for in life, what more do they want out of life. So that's going to be a part of the life plan. As we said, everything is online. This IM assessment, which is what we call it, is a bunch of questions that we ask somebody, and that creates the life plan, and that's going to be online. And we are going to be involved in helping people understand and be really involved in their life plan. And you will probably, if the person supported chooses that you can access and understand the life plan, you will be able to get onto the portal and sign in and look at that person's life plan and help them understand that life plan and help them talk to them about what their goals are and what's important to them. Now, I know that we're getting a little crunched for time, so I'm going to move through this a little bit more quickly. So the life plan, no, this is not what it looks like. And the reason I brought this slide up is because I really like this picture drawing of what someone's plan looks like and what's important to them. So we may be talking to people. We want everyone to understand all about their life plan and how we're going to help them with their goals, whether I'm interested in being a chef, or I'm interested in learning certain skills, or I like music, or whatever it is that a person's interested in. You know, people learn differently. I myself am a visual learner, so I love Workforce Transformation's website because it is very colorful. It's very easy to read. And so we're going to help people understand their life plan in different ways, in the ways that they can understand it. Well, what if I don't understand it? What if it's confusing or overwhelming to learn? Well, we're going to help you do that. And we don't expect that at the first minute anybody's going to, all of a sudden grasp everything. That doesn't happen. So don't worry, we will be helping you as this process evolves. We will be helping you and giving you more information. So what can I, as a DSP, what can I, as a provider agency, what can I, as an MSC, what can I, as anybody who's on this line listening, what can I do to make this transition, to make this change a positive one? And many of us, when we hear change, all of a sudden we shut down. That's all we hear. We're done. So what can we do to change that? Ask questions. Learn about it. Go online, look it up. Talk to people that know more information. Let's try to get informed instead of being opinionated. And I've heard people say, oh, this is the stupidest thing. Why is this happening? We didn't ask for it. And it is a change. And change isn't always, the first thing we'd pick to do. But this is something that's good. And the more you learn about it, the more we will be able to understand that and we will be able to see that. And so we'd like you to ask questions and we'd like you to be willing to learn. So if we replace that fear of the unknown, that fear of change, that fear of, hey, don't do this to me, with curiosity. Hey, what do I need to know? How can I make this work? This sounds really interesting. I want to do better at this. Then it's going to change the way everything looks for you. And it's going to really make this new, exciting, and very, very positive. So thanks for listening to me. And I know that we have some questions. And before I answer questions, I do want to tell you that I'd like to answer questions that are geared toward the DSP. I know that there are other people listening and that people have this morning we got a lot of sophisticated questions. If I don't know the answer, and there's a good chance I may not know the answer, then OPWDD will take your question and they will, Workforce Transformation will take that question, ask OPWDD, and try to get back to you.
Thank you,
Kirsten?
Connie, for that great presentation and overview for DSPs. It was so helpful and so informative. And I feel if I were a DSP or even in my current role, I would be able to answer some very basic questions for anybody asking. And I do know that there are lots of questions. MSCs are calling every day asking questions. And you're right, we don't have all of the answers to those questions yet, and we have to be patient for those answers to come forward. And we will do the best that we can to advocate for answers to those questions, but we will ask that you be patient. We do have everybody's email who's listening this evening and earlier today, and we will be looking for answers to the best that we can, and we will be providing you with the best responses that we can. But know that we will keep you posted as answers do become available. Again, this webinar is being recorded along with the webinar that occurred this morning, and it will be posted for you to share with DSPs in the field at their leisure when they have the opportunity to watch it. So unfortunately, the questions that we have so far are primarily geared towards different levels of the field pertaining to CCOs, and none that necessarily pertain to a DSP's role. I will tell you that I was shocked this morning when we got a question from a DSP that said, will the DSP's job disappear or be removed because of this change? And you provided such a great response. Connie, wow. If you could just share that again with us.
Yeah. So I was also shocked by the question, because DSPs are so important in the lives of the people supported. As we said, you guys are the key to making this work. You guys are the key to success. And you're the key to helping people have this transition be meaningful in their lives. DSPs are super important, and that is never going to go away. We always need DSPs. We want DSPs that care about people, care about what their goals are. So absolutely not. We need you. We want you on board. We want your support, your help, your skills. You guys are absolutely incredible and fantastic, and we don't want you to go anywhere. So please, 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 if you know anybody that has that question, reassure them that absolutely their jobs are definitely going to be there, and it's going to be more important than ever before that DSPs play an active role in people's lives.
Another thing you mentioned earlier in your webinar this evening was, what can I do as a DSP to get ready for this change? Even if the answers aren't all available for us and we can't find the answers to those questions, one thing we can do is to become familiar with the core competencies and the code of ethics, and really ask for support in understanding how to really embrace those competencies, because that's how you can prepare for this change. And if you do that, you will be one step ahead of the game for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Those competencies are skills that a lot of people have already, and some of them are skills that people are working on developing. But that's not just a piece of paper. That's a way to really be a professional. We want to professionalize the DSP workforce. That's a way to be a professional. And it's a great guide. I mean, as ridiculous as this sounds, I carry those competencies and the code of ethics with me because it is so helpful. If you're able to take those skills and use them, it's like a little go-to guide. Okay, how do I do this? How do I focus on this? How do I best help that person? And if you use those competencies, that is really a great tool and a great guide. So that those are not just words on a paper that OPW said, okay, guys, you got to get good at this. Oh, no. It's a wonderful live tool that helps us on a day-to-day basis, and it's going to help us improve the lives and help people live the lives that they want to live.
So true. So with that, Connie, I want to thank you for, again, your time this evening and helping us to better understand the changes. And I thank everybody for joining us this evening, tuning into our webinar. I encourage you, if you haven't already, to visit our website, www.workforcetransformation.org, and subscribe. Subscribe at the bottom of the homepage, enter your name and your email, and let us know what area you're living in, and you'll get email updates about when information will be posted and offered. Webinars like this get posted onto our calendar, and you would get an email notification letting you know that the webinar is taking place. So thank you again, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Kirsten. Take care, everybody. Have a good night.